Great! We've come a long way. We learned how to navigate quickly using keyboard shortcuts. We got accustomed to some advanced mechanic tools, and we know how to format spreadsheets professionally. That's awesome. This means we are ready to dig deeper into our favorite topic, Excel functions. If you want to be efficient and stand head and shoulders above everyone else, make sure you know how to use advanced functions. Yes, if, SUMIF, and COUNTIF are important, but there's so much more that you can learn. Starting from this lesson, we'll go through several important functions, and the best part is we'll apply these functions in practice later in the course. So, without further ado, let's learn about nested functions. Okay, in general, we can say that functions allow the interaction between the information in different cells in a spreadsheet. Hundreds of functions in Excel are organized into different categories: compatibility functions, database functions, financial functions, statistical functions, and the list goes on. I'm not sure even the people who created them remember what each function does. It is very important to remember that you can use more than one function in a given formula. Let's provide a short example. There is a column containing 5 numbers above the line, and the 6th number is missing. Here, I will say, if this cell is empty, give me the average of these numbers, and if it is not, show me their sum. Okay, and now I will use the average function within the if function. Also, I will need the sum function for the third argument of the if function. Let's check if it works correctly. I will put 1,000 here. And yes, apparently it does. Well, in these situations, when you use functions inside of other functions, it is more appropriate to say that you've written a nested function. Excel allows you to nest as many as 64 levels of functions. Call me if you see a formula that is that long and complicated. I imagine that it has to be 3 pages long, right? Anyway, the important thing to remember is that you need to know how to combine functions. In the lessons of this section, we'll provide several examples of how to do this. So stay tuned, and of course, thanks for watching. Hi, in this video, we will be introducing the Excel sum formulas SUM, SUMIF, and SUMIFs. They allow us to add the numbers within a given cell range. Let's start with SUM. It is one of Excel's basic formulas. SUM allows Excel users to add the numbers within a given cell range. It's simple as that. In the table on the left, we have data regarding last year's performance of a few football teams. In order to sum the total number of games played by the teams, we'll type plus sum, select the range from E4 to E12, close the parentheses, and Excel will calculate the number of games played. The teams played a total of 330 games. What if we have to add only the cells within a range which satisfy a criterion? The SUMIF function allows us to do that. In our example with football teams, let's say that we would like to sum the number of games played by Italian teams. We have to type SUMIF. Okay, now the formula has 3 arguments, as you can see here in the formula bar. First, we need to introduce the range of cells where Excel will look in order to find the criteria. I'll select the cells from C4 to C12, as this is where the country of origin stands in the table. Then, we'll select our criteria. Our criterion will be Italy, and I have it here in C18. I'll select it. Excel will go and find the cells within the range from C4 to C12 Italy is written in. Once it does, the program will be ready to add together the cells which we required to be summed when the criterion is satisfied. Let's sum the number of games played by selecting as a third argument the cells within the range E4 to E12. Now that the function is complete, we can close the brackets. The answer we obtain is that Italian teams played 114 games in total. Things become really interesting with the SUMIFS formula. It is a really powerful tool. Basically, the SUMIFS function is a lot like SUMIF, although it is able to work with more than one condition. Let's say that we would like to find out how many points English teams which participated in the Champions League earned. Our first condition is England, and the second one is yes under Champions League presences. When working with SUMIFS, it is important to keep in mind which are the conditions that need to be applied and where these conditions are contained. Let's type the formula. Please note that unlike SUMIF, SUMIFS starts with the sum range, the cells to be summed. We will select the whole range of points earned, starting from F4 and going to F12. Afterwards, we need to select the range for the first condition, country, and then pick the first condition as we have it in C16, England. Then we can continue with the selection of the range of the second condition, Champions League, and our criterion will be yes, as in D16. The result from the calculations is that English teams in our table, which played in the Champions League, earned an aggregate of 143 points. These are three very useful Excel functions. You will find rather interesting and practical examples for the application of sum formulas in the case studies, which we will see later in this course. Thank you for watching. In certain situations, it's convenient to insert a rounding function in front of a formula you are working with. By doing this, the output of the function will be rounded in the way you intend it to be. Intuitively, the Excel function carrying out this activity is called round. Here's how it works. You only have to indicate the number you would like to change and the number of digits around the decimal point you would like to consider. If I round these numbers to the second digit, this means Excel will round the numbers to the second digit after the decimal point. Let's do it in practice. Okay. Obviously, this function rounds numbers in the classical way. The digits below 5 are approximated to the lower number, while 5 and above to the higher number. That is why we will have 0.25 here and 0.76 here. Okay? Good. Let's play with the number of digits set in the formula. If I put 0, the numbers will be rounded to the closest integer, following the same rule for approximation. Correct. The first value became 10, and the second one 11, and so on. If I round the numbers to -1 digits, everything written as units, or values after the decimal point, will be equalized to 0. This is best illustrated in the last two rows, where a value above 22 became merely 20, and 301 became 300. Great! You understand how to round functions, right? There are several derivatives of round. Roundup, for example, will always round numbers upwards. That's why the first two numbers became 11. Pay close attention to what will happen if I use this function for a negative number. I'll insert -1.36 here. Roundup moved the value to -2. Therefore, it pushes negative values down, towards -infinity, away from 0. Don't fall in the trap of thinking negative values will move towards 0. Round down uses the opposite logic of round up. Values will be rounded downwards, towards 0. Let's check the results. Yes, 10, 10, 22, and not 23, and -1. Excellent. Finally, sometimes you will see the mround function. Its output is a number rounded to a specific multiple. An example will best explain the meaning of this function. Let's choose a multiple of 3. OK. The result obtained was rounded down to 9, because 9 was closer than 12. The opposite was true for the second value. OK. 22 moved to 24, and 301 moved to 300. Why do we see an error at the end? That's because Excel displays a number error whenever the multiple and the number reference are with different signs. All the variations of round appear to be similar, but in some cases, some could be more useful than others. I hope you had fun watching this video. Thank you very much. In this example, we have the same table that we saw in the previous exercises, with the slight difference that here we've calculated the total of games played and points earned. In column H has been calculated the percentage of points each team has earned out of the total of points. There is one slight problem, though. If we suppose that the number of points Hamburger earned is not available, the formula calculating Hamburger's percentage out of the total points will display an error message. There is a nice way to deal with such errors. If error. The formula has two parts. First, you need to indicate which cell is being tested for an error. And second, you need to select a value that it should have in case there is an error. In our current case, we will have the following. Let's type if error in front of the formula calculating percentages and leave its content as the argument which will be tested for an error. The second argument that has to be selected is what we want to be displayed when there is an error. You can choose whether to select a number, a text message, or leave it blank. In this case, I'd like for the formula to display not available when there is an error. OK, so the formula is ready. Let's paste it for the whole range. And in fact, we immediately see that in the place where we had an error before, now NA is written.